meeting, right? And I still remember sitting on the 8th of March, before the Women's International Women's Day, and literally writing out of the blue, saying Munich, Amsterdam, Zurich, Basel, and 4 cities in India, Mumbai, Delhi, Pune, Hyderabad. Literally made a list of, the launches that I was going to do. And I guess it's like you need this moment of madness to do that, because to be honest, the stacks were like completely against me, right? Why am I doing this? What is in it for me? It was not a business. It still is not my business. It's my nonprofit initiative. And why would I do that? It was very energizing. And every person who was involved in that, just said, this is such an amazing idea and we love it, right?
Hey, I'm Julia Lopez, communication architect, international speaker, author of Leading in High Heels, and your host. Welcome to Brave, Bold, and Brilliant podcast. Together with my guests, I will share with you inspiring stories where being brave and bold were the trigger to becoming brilliant. For the past decade, I've been helping professionals to express themselves with clarity and confidence in any stage and arena of their lives. Communication is key to success, and stories have the potential to transform lives and move people into action. There is someone, somewhere, who needs to hear exactly what you have to say. Be brave, bold, and brilliant, and speak up unapologetically.
So, my dear Shivangi, it's a pleasure to have you here for our Brave, Bold, and Brilliant. And you are one of the ladies that I know you're very brave and bold. We met, a number of years ago in one of the Start at the Top events, mentorship events. And since then, we've been in touch, and I've been following you quite close with your Thrive with Mentoring platform, which, as far as I know, started as just an idea, a spontaneous idea, and today is thriving and supporting many, many, many women globally. But I will let you to share your stories, how building up Thrive and other initiatives you had to take brave and bold actions in order to be brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's super exciting, Tulia, to speak with you. Just like you, after meeting you, I think I've also been following your initiatives and speaking challenges and platforms. So I think it's a little mini mutual admiration club, I guess, that we are a part of. And I'm super excited to speak to you on your brand new podcast. Yeah, I love the title, Brave, Bold, and Brilliant. And I think that in some ways, epitomizes what I'd love, for the women who join us as Thrive mentors and mentees to lead a life, that is brave, bold, and brilliant. And like you rightly said, Thrive really started as a small seed of an idea in Switzerland. This was in December 2017. Where we got a small group of women together to really match them into then a 1-year mentoring relationship. And the genesis of that idea was very interesting because I had actually experienced female mentorship when I went through one of the challenging professional phases in my life. And I just realized that this is such a brilliant support mechanism, and that's where the whole idea of doing women for women mentoring came into the picture. And I also wanted to do that as a nonprofit. It was really my passion project. And I must admit that the first time I shared it with friends, many of who were coaches, and also with some of my close circle who were into businesses, they all said, why would you do that? This was, of course, going to be in Zurich in the beginning. So they said, Zurich has so many women's groups. And, why would you again create one more women initiative? And the whole notion that, a more established, successful, more experienced person would mentor a complete, stranger was actually something that was quite difficult for even my coach friends to see, because of course they were the first sort of, people for me. And they said, I don't know if I can really give my time to do that. I don't see why women would do that. So lots and lots of doubts. I found partnership for the first launch with a couple of young women actually who lead the Zurich Linen chapter. And they loved the idea and they said, let's try this. And I was like, yes, let's try this. And we didn't have a website, nothing, right? It was word of mouth, emails, LinkedIn messages, and bringing this group of then 20 women together. And then I happened to go to India. I go to India every December, for a few weeks. And I mentioned that to another friend of mine back there. And she heads talent management for a large pharmaceutical company. And she said, my God, this is an amazing idea. You should try this here. And I said, hey, I'm here for like 20 days. She said, it doesn't matter. I think the idea is amazing. Let's see if we can get traction here, right? And then we were like another 2 women. So 4 of us got together, friends and friends of friends, essentially. And then in those 20 days, we launched a cohort in Mumbai. That was the first cohort in Mumbai with around 45 women then, right? And this was between New Year's and Christmas and New Year's that we were campaigning for this. And literally, I launched it on 4th of Jan, and 5th Jan, I flew back to Switzerland. And then I came back and I was sitting there and thinking, wow, something that works in a developed, quite, specific culture like Switzerland, in a developing country like India, this is an idea that is resonating, right? And I still remember sitting on the 8th of March, before the International Women's Day, and literally writing out of the blue, saying Munich, Amsterdam, Zurich, Basel, and 4 cities in India, Mumbai, Delhi, Pune, Hyderabad, literally made a list of, the launches that I was going to do. And I guess it's like you need this moment of madness to do that, because to be honest, the stacks were like completely against me, right? Why am I doing this? What is in it for me? It was not a business. It still is not my business. It's my nonprofit initiative. And why would I do that? But it's very energizing. And every person who was involved in that, just said, this is such an amazing idea and we love it, right? And the rest is history, as they say. The Thrive is today present in 6 countries and around 14 cities. We have catalyzed around 1,000 one-on-one mentoring relationships between women. This year, we have pivoted quite dramatically, right? So it was a very hybrid organization because the back office and the strategic core team was always virtual team, but the actual operations of the launch and the running were very physical, with mentors and mentees meeting physically, the groups of women in that cohort meeting physically. And all that changed dramatically, right? So this year, and it was already the 4th or the 5th cohort in Zurich, and in Basel, that we started with a completely virtual launch, which worked really well. And then we did the same in UK and Hyderabad, and we even did a pan India and so on. So there's like, I think now it's an established concept, right? Nobody is questioning, why would somebody do that? Because I think that's the thing, right? Till you have proven it, till you have enough sort of, let's say, belief that this is something that's going to work. And even if there are naysayers or there are people who doubt your idea, if you can go along a little while, and I think in the beginning, I was really privileged to have all these friends who supported it, right? And to be honest, they did not support really Thrive. They just supported me. They were like, okay, what is this madness? But any case, since you're doing this, I'm going to support you with this, right? So I think that as an organization, we have really changed, right? In the beginning, it was people supporting Shivangi as an individual. I think I'm going more and more in the background with the organization, and rightfully so. And now I think the women who come, or the women who are in the core team, etc., they are in for the purpose of Thrive. It's not because of a prior relationship or friendship with me.
Oh, this is so awesome, Shivangi. But I'm curious, you said that about the concept, that now you have established the concept. Share a little bit about the concept. What is it? Is it business oriented or?
Yeah, we changed the concept a little bit. Thrive has always been about holistic mentoring, right? So it's not just professional or not just personal. There were two things that were playing parallelly in my mind. I have actually established a lot of formal mentoring programs inside large corporates, right? Because I was heading leadership development and talent management. And usually these were limited to high potentials or senior leaders, small group, managed very elitely. And there were three things that I noticed. A, that 80 to 90% of the mentors were men, and again, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy because mentors are typically senior leaders were more men, so mentors were men. The mentee pool was quite balanced. They were both men, both men and women. But there was both a conscious and unconscious bias, I realized, inside an organization to have women mentors, right? Of course, the fact that they were maybe not already in senior roles, but even the ones who were in senior roles, because this was nomination-based, I remember distinctly a conversation with a very senior leader about a general manager, a woman who was in a role already for 2 years, and would it be an obvious choice to be in the mentor pool? And he said, I'm not sure she's ready for that responsibility yet, maybe next year. And I didn't have the capacity or the model or, whatever to prove or to challenge that notion, right? Like, how do I tell her, no, I think she's ready? But what it created, and this is probably 10 years back, right? What it created in my mind is this notion that mentoring needs to be democratized, right? I really believe that every person, and even, of course, in Thrive, we're taking mentors who are more than 15 years of work X because it's just easier to match them. But there have been younger mentors who, especially those who have studied coaching, right? Because then you know how to actually create goals for your mentee, how to create behavioral experiments for them, how to hold them accountable, how to work with their mindset. So if you've learned all of that, it's not really age dependent per se, but because it's mentoring rather than coaching, a lot of women who come in, they do expect the mentors to have been there, done that, right? And I can understand that. But what we have realized is that it is really about the matching. Sometimes there are two women who would look perfect on paper, that you're the mentor and you're the mentee, and it doesn't work. So our process is that we get mentors and mentees to register. We announce actually a launch date in a particular city or sometimes a country if it is virtual this year at least. And then once we of course collect information about their profile, what are their strengths, and what they feel they would like to mentor in from the mentors, and from the mentees, what are their needs, what are their development areas, right? And then we match each mentor with up to 3 mentees and each mentee with up to 3 mentors. And this is very important for us because we really realize that what looks amazing on paper, it doesn't work in terms of chemistry. And this year, actually, it was fascinating because we were very worried. We always thought this whole in-person meeting of the person, mentor and mentee, in these speed mentoring kind of sessions with 3 different people is really necessary to ensure that the relationship clicks, right? And we use Zoom as a platform for virtual, connecting in the same way. And we were blown away by the feedback we got, right? The very first time we did that, as I told you, was in March this year. And the women themselves, because when we pivoted pretty last minute, I think a week before the actual physical launch, we went into lockdown in Switzerland and we said, okay, we either could postpone and wait and watch, or we said, no, we launch and we do it virtually. So we wrote and we called, all the people, and there were many mentors, actually, more than mentees, who said, I'm just not this virtual person. I don't know if I will be able to be effective, especially when I'm going to meet somebody whom I've never met before and so on, right? And these were the same women who actually told us, I'm just blown away that we are in this Zoom breakout room. I'm meeting somebody I have never met before, and how open she's being to me and how vulnerable she's being to me. Of course, we've done a lot of things around creating this psychological safety, right? But and now we know that it works. But in March this year, we were also not so sure, is this going to work? Because people were doubting it, of course. And now we know pretty sure it works very well. In fact, there are some distinct advantages to running a launch virtually. We do feel that women still really appreciate to meet each other. And we really feel that we want to, whenever COVID allows or the vaccine comes out or whatever, we do want to go back to these city-specific launches, which essentially means that the women get a chance to meet each other in person, right? Not just in the one-on-one mentoring relationship, but also together as a community, which is what a lot of women really value. So yeah, that's where we are. Today, the program is 6 months. And as I said, we match mentors' strengths with the mentees' needs. There is a community platform that we use where we have all our cohorts. Each cohort is like a chapter, so they get to network within their cohort. They also get to network with the global community. And we have actually launched something called Live from Thrive, again from March this year. So again, at the time of the lockdown, we started with 15 minutes learning bites from 17 different speakers in the second and third and fourth weeks of March. This was everybody started to put a free webinar. so we had a lot of buy-in because this was really new and there was zero competition actually. So that was quite fun. And we have since then, the brand of Live from Thrive is sort of an umbrella brand for many different things we do. Like I interview what I call phenomenal founders of women organizations from all across the world. There is something called Mentor Logs. It's like mentor dialogue. It's mentor skill development that we do with our existing mentors. There is another initiative which we have recently launched. It's called Learn Shops or Learning Workshops. So we know some of the themes which are important for women, like, for example, confidence or imposter syndrome. So we've taken actually those themes and seen in our own network. So we're really very lucky, right? In the Thrive network. Tomorrow, for example, we have a Learn Shop with somebody who's a Thrive mentor from Munich. And she has a product called Confidence Goddess. So we get these women on the platform for a 90 minutes webinar. And then people who participate in that, they may continue the journey with them. And another thing we did this year was a program called She Thrives. This was like a 6-month initiative for women who were impacted by COVID negatively. And we kept it completely free, actually, because again, we have all these mentors. I mean, we're surrounded by radically generous women, right? So they gave their time, and we had many different topics, starting a side hustle, emotional and mental well-being, and LinkedIn, how to do your interviewing and all of that. Like we had a list of topics. Of course, we got hundreds of applicants. We chose the ones that we thought would be, most suitable for that program, and that's ongoing. I mean, it's going to finish in December, right? So that's She Thrives. So under the Live from Thrive brand, we just created many different products which are geared towards different kinds of women. And I think that is a gift of COVID. I think but for COVID, we would probably remain much more in the mentoring space. I think we're still in the mentoring space. In fact, I also installed a board for Thrive this year, and we have been rediscussing sort of the purpose and where do we want to go. And we want to remain in the niche of mentoring, of course, and we will remain there. But we have a slightly broader definition of mentoring now, because when we have, let's say, more expert speakers, they are also mentoring, but they're mentoring groups of people, right? Or we are doing individual mentoring at the moment, one-on-one, but definitely we are now going to launch next year something, it's an exciting collaboration actually with another entity that we will have, and we will launch a program for female entrepreneurs, so really helping them through that journey, and again remaining in the nonprofit space, right? So yeah, I mean, long story short, I think that Thrive really is a gift that keeps giving, right? And I think one of the things that I personally have experienced because of Thrive is that, really the sky is the limit. Like, I don't doubt anymore. I think the biggest gift I got from Thrive was that I don't doubt an idea and I don't edit it till I have tried it, because I think that it's too easy for us to fall into the trap to imagine how the market is going to react to an idea. And I think it's really very difficult to imagine that. I mean, we have been a bit lucky that most of our ideas, have sort of been, uplifted by the market. But I'm sure that there will be something we'll launch that will not meet necessarily, or that will not grow as much as we think it would, right? I mean, it happened to some extent with She Thrives because we had lots and lots of very interested women, but we saw that their commitment, to come through reduced, and we kept wondering, is that because we kept it completely free, what is it, and so on, right? So we're always like learning and growing through that process.
I want to stop you there, because you said something that I find very important, because I do work with women as well. And in the fact that you said, now we have an idea, we don't doubt the idea, but when I have an idea, I put it into practice first before editing, before considering it, that is the idea that I want to move ahead. And I find it's brilliant the way you put it there, because that's exactly what we have to do in business nowadays. There's no such thing of perfectioning everything before putting to the market. And this is something, one of the keys that I keep hitting with my ladies when I say, because women still have the tendency to work diligently to have the perfect, I hate that word, the perfect thing before getting out there, showing up and speaking up. Can you share your experience in this process there? Because it follows into what you're talking right now. So then we can motivate the ones listening.
Well, I can actually give a very simple example with that. I mean, again, as I said, in some ways, maybe what we do with Thrive is a self-fulfilling prophecy, because there is so much need and there is such a market. So sometimes I feel it's almost going to be difficult to fail with the new ideas we come out, because we have this machinery now and we know what works, and there are always more and more women who need to listen to this. And it's the reason I'm saying it's a self-fulfilling prophecy is because when we bring a senior mentor, who is already in it to pay forward, then we combine them with a younger mentee who is hungry to learn. And we put these two things together, and there is no other comparison, right? It's like this relationship. They're not saying I'm comparing mentor A with mentor B with mentor C. We just put them in this relationship. Everything around it just works, right? Now, of course, I'm not suggesting that some relationships don't fizzle out. They do, but the majority of them work. And usually the ones that fizzle out is when one of the two parties is not sincere, about their own intentions, right? That's when it fizzles out. But the majority of them work. But I wanted to give you something even simpler about, putting it out. And I just did that actually literally before the call. I used to think that for a long form article on LinkedIn, I'm not talking about a post, but a long form article, right? So 700 to 900 words sort of article. I remember when I started this process a couple of years back, I would just spend hours, editing it, making it sound different, and it was a process literally for me for 3 to 4 hours to put that article out. And of course, very cumbersome, right? So I wanted to write that, but it became like a painful activity. And at a particular stage, I did that twice, actually. And so it was my own learning rather than, reading it somewhere. I put out an article that I thought was very well edited. And, I had taken pain to actually put it out, right? And it got some engagement. Yes, it did. Then I put out an article that I literally wrote on a train journey to Basel or something, and wrote whatever I wanted. And I just published it, without giving it too much thought. And I had like a day full of meetings. And then I saw at the end of that day that article had got tremendous engagement, right? Which really helped me to shift my mindset, because I was like, I'm not the judge of saying what a perfect article looks like, right? That's for my readers to decide. So I really, sort of liberated me from myself, like my own editing capacity or my own evaluation around what good is and what is, what is not good, or what is good enough and what is perfect, all of these labels, right? I just liberated myself from that. And today I have around 150 long form articles, of course, hundreds and hundreds of posts. And I don't think too much, right? Like, so today there was a little example that I faced with a friend around some yellow leaves, some beautiful autumn yellow leaves that I saw, and you can read the post. I actually just put that, right? So I don't think too much about it anymore. I just think about an idea and I go and create a post around it. And today I think I post on LinkedIn practically every day, and I write at least 2 articles every week. So that's why I have this huge repository of people, thinking and feeling as if they know me. They don't really know me, but they read me, right? And it's quite fascinating that when they read me, they feel as if they know me, but I don't know them. And it's quite an interesting conversation when I then start speaking to them. I don't know if you saw on the 1st of November, a friend of mine talked about this random acts of kindness, right? So, and I wanted to do some random act of kindness. So it was the 1st of November, Sunday afternoon, and I thought, what could I do? What could I do? And I was like, okay, you know what? I had experienced actually some time back, just the need, and this was an older man in Basel, to have a conversation with me, right? A complete stranger. And my mind kept telling me, he's going to ask me for something, he's going to sell something. He didn't do any such thing. He just spoke to me for maybe 20, 25 minutes. And then the person I was supposed to meet came and he just said goodbye, right? And I just felt, there is a real need for conversations. We're not meeting each other in trams and buses and trains, and there is no serendipitous conversations, right? Now, of course, I wanted to use the power of LinkedIn for that. So I published a calendar. I opened 21 slots this month for 30 minutes conversations with me. And I said, you can speak to me about a theme, or it can be themeless. Of course, I'm a coach and a mentor. So if you want to get advice from me, that's fine too. Whatever, but it's 30 minutes. And in such a short time, all the slots were booked out, right? And I've had these conversations now for the last 2 weeks, and it's fascinating. I've spoken to people from around 13 countries. I must say, majority women and a few men, including a man from Egypt, which I thought was very interesting. And it's been very fascinating to just have these conversations with complete strangers. As I said, because they read me, a lot of these people, of course, follow me on LinkedIn. So they don't consider me as a stranger, but they are strangers to me, right? And then they start this conversation, like a recent conversation where they said, somebody said, I'm just bored out. I'm not burned out, but I'm bored out, and I really want to know what to do with my life. Another person said, and in some ways, I must say, this is quite impactful for me, because I'm just thinking, wow, I did this as a conversation, and some people are probably telling me things from their mind that they have actually not told anyone, right? So that's quite it's all very new for me, right? I'm just doing this the last 2 weeks, and every evening is different, and it's a different kind of conversation. But yeah, I mean, it's been fascinating for me.
But you said something there. Sorry for interrupting you, Shivangi. You said that when you got into now writing is spontaneously what comes to your mind and sharing, which in many people say the market say today falls into that. Say, don't think about building content, just document what you see, what you feel. And because you do that, and it's the way you feel, the way you express, yes, people feel you. It's very different when we have an article we write, we craft, even we love it, we choose the words and the formatting, everything, but there is a lot of crafting there. So sometimes the person get lost. You still have the beauty of the article, of the content is valid and valuable, but something more spontaneous, even with some misspelling, sometimes it feels like I'm at the moment and I want to share this with you. And this is why they feel they know you.
Yeah, I think you say something really right. Now, I must admit that I balance these two things, because of course, as somebody who is in the leadership space, I am very conscious about the thought leadership that I bring around the area of leadership development, right? So I do write articles which are also around particular themes, so they might be around influencing or crucial conversations, or nowadays I'm working a lot with something I call impactful virtual leadership. So how do you actually lead in this increasingly, virtual world, which is here to stay. So I will do content articles, and then I do opinion articles, right? So opinion articles are the ones around, for example, what does a colored woman becoming a vice president? What does that mean? And what do women, what as women leaders today do we need to do so that the next colored woman in a very powerful position doesn't need another 25 years, So those are or I talk about racism in India, so there's a lot of talk about racism in the Western world, but there is racism that exists in India. So I have opinion pieces and I do content pieces, right? And articles are more well considered. I love long form writing. The posts really are following exactly what you said, right? I do not think about them too much. I put them out there. They are whatever has struck me that day or the earlier day. And I just create a post around it, so that's what I do. And again, as I said, LinkedIn or any other platform, right? I mean, they appreciate consistent posting, because who defines quality? Who defines, this is amazing. Like there was this whole thing around people saying you must do videos, because videos are more popular than written posts. But to be honest, for me, making a video is a bit of a pain, then you have to have a tripod, and then you check out the lighting and, all of that, right? So for me, I can write a post at 12 at midnight and it's done. Whereas video, I have to watch everything, right? So I do some videos, once in a while, but not as frequently. And for me, that was the balance. And I guess we really have to think about the balance, right? What's the balance for each one of us? For some of us, the balance, for me, what is more important, what's my intent is that I publish consistently. And despite me knowing that video is a powerful medium, to publish consistently, given the nature of my work, where videos need to be ideally shot during the day and so on, I just don't have the time to do that, And so whereas writing, I can do it anytime from any device and it's done, So it's far more flexible for me. So yeah, and I think we need to all make those choices. And then I read both these impressions, right? People are saying that, actually, when there is a video, it's a bit tiring to watch just like a video every second post of LinkedIn, And I actually don't really listen to the videos. I just read the subtitles. A lot of people say that I just read the subtitles because I don't want to be an audio. So yeah, pros and cons. I think the important thing is to really understand I like that name, right? The brave, bold, and brilliant. What's your definition of being brave and bold? Because what is bold for me may not be what is bold for you. So I think we really have to each define and say, what is bold for me? And I think the definition of brave and bold also changes according to the phases of our life, right? I mean, I know I have 2 young boys, they're 8 and 12, and I think the Shivangi, pre-children, and now that they're young and growing, as compared to when I will be an empty nester, is going to be different. It's going to be a different version of me with different choices I will make. And I'm just learning more and more to just be okay with that, right? Somebody was, I just read on LinkedIn, it's become a major, sort of way of figuring out what's happening with my network. And somebody wrote on that this morning, a very raw post, saying that I'm so overwhelmed, there's just so much to do. And I'm excited because I'm setting up a new business. But, when my husband asked me, am I okay? I just had to break down because I was not feeling so okay. I'm feeling so overwhelmed, right? And I was thinking that's because we do tend to put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And I mean, the one advice I would give my younger self, but even today, is there is a lot of time. There is no need to create this sense of urgency and achieve everything that needs to be achieved this month, this week, today, this year, all of that. I think it's okay to say, and you said that, Julia, that this year has been a bit different because you canceled a lot of your in-person events that you have been, following up for many years. But it's okay, right? I think it's okay to give ourselves the time and the energy to really do things that we feel resonate with us at that moment. Because if we have these shoulds and musts, in the way that we are, whatever we are producing, and we bring that energy of the should and I must do that, the output looks quite different as compared to the output when you say, I'd love to do this. This is what is energizing me. It resonates with me. I would do this even if I didn't get paid for it. I'm always looking for that sort of work, where you would do something even if there was no financial gain. And you can be pretty sure that then there is a financial gain, and it usually you differentiate yourself, with everybody out there, because I mean, at the end of the day, everything is about frequency and energy, right? So I think one of the things that I'm learning to do, because I have so many ideas, I have to create my website, which has like been pending for 2 years, not my initiatives websites, but I want to create shivangiwalke.com. It's been around, this idea, for such a long time. I've not yet done it. Still hoping next week. I always say that. I'm writing a book on mentoring, which I was hoping would be published by the end of the year. I don't see that happening anymore. There is another business idea, another business partner, and all of these things. I just feel as if I were to like really do everything, then I shouldn't sleep at all, right? But I don't do that. I just say, okay, this quarter, this month, this week, that's going to be my focus. And everything else, I must say, I've not got rid completely of the thoughts behind it, right? I still get the thought that, oh, I should have had this out by now. This should have been out by now. So the thought occurs to me, but I don't fall prey to that thought. I try to use this principle of meditation, that the thought occurs like a cloud in the sky, and you watch it and then you let the cloud go. So that's what I do with my thoughts of, I wouldn't say guilt. I think it's not guilt. It's some sort of a, I can do more sort of a feeling, right? So whenever it comes, then I watch it and then I let it go, and then I do whatever I have thought I would do for today. And whatever that energizes me in that moment. I think that's the principle I'm using. I'm really trying to manage my energy rather than my time.
That's a very good way of putting it, to manage the energy instead of the time, because then you understand what your energy requires at that moment. And Shivangi, before we wrap up, I have one final question for you, because back into the early days of Thrive for Thrive with mentoring, I remember seeing a comment from you, or I don't know if it was in a conversation with you, that you mentioned something like this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember something that you said was something like that. You were surprised that you had more mentors than mentees signed up at the beginning. And I wanted to share with you, so what is your conclusion on that? I have mine, but I would like you to.
By the way, that's not early. It happens even today. It happens.
Okay.
What is our conclusion? As we discuss in the 14, there might be a couple of reasons for that. One of the reasons is the typical mentee is actually in the life phase where they're trying to balance too many things, young children, or even the decision of, should I be getting married now? Trying to get, the career ladder, going up the career ladder. So putting a lot of pressure. And I think just lack of understanding that a mentoring relationship can be transformational. I think that for people like you and me, and we've been in this mentorship program for our businesses, it's like a no-brainer, right? But what I'm realizing is that a lot of people don't really know what mentorship is and can do. And a lot of women have never experienced it, actually. So it's like, how do you sign up for something where you don't know what it exactly is, right? So a mentee recruitment for Thrive is still very word of mouth, Of course, we do social media campaigns and all of that, but I think that's just sort of FYI. They don't really change behavior. Whereas most of our mentors, they come through social media channels, or they come through, people that we know, because I think they are at a life stage with their 20 years of work X where there is this prominent feeling that, if I would love to mentor myself, the way I was 5, 7, 10 years ago, right? That's the feeling, and this paying it forward, etc. So yeah, but I must say we've done a mini project with like a younger consultant saying, what is it? Maybe we are not being very categoric about the success story. So we have recently revamped our website, and we are now capturing more testimonials and more success stories. There's like a lot of information we have internally that we have not necessarily put outside, right? So we probably need to, and then do a more mentee focused campaigns, So probably there is an element of marketing and advertising in there, but there's also an element of, it's like you don't know what you don't know, with the mentee.
I believe, I share a brief story here with you. I believe that one of the reasons mentees don't reach out is the common reason of the fear of being judges of that you don't know. And when you are more junior, you have this normal fear because you don't know, you don't know many things. But people like us, where we are, we still know that we don't know many things, but we know a lot, so we don't care, and we go for the things
and
we
we're
don't
okay
know.
with not knowing, right?
Exactly.
To be not knowing. I think, again, in these conversations, right? Somebody asked me something really quite specific, right? And I was even amazed that why would they think that I know this, right? But I had absolutely no problem to say that, saying that, I've been outside. I think this was somebody in India, and they was saying, can I make a move from academics to, the commercial sector? And I'm like, I left India 20 years ago. Why would you feel that, I would know today that can somebody make this move from academics to the more commercial sector? Like, I'm out of touch, but I had absolutely no problem to say that. What amazed me was that they asked the question because somehow they believe that I will have the answer for them, and that's quite funky, actually, if you think about mentoring, because though we say that women have a lot of experience, the other thing that we do know is that the younger mentees, they also have a lot of expectations from their mentors. So there have been conversations that we have got in where we've got some feedback saying maybe some of the mentors, the style is more pedantic, more patronizing, and that's not really appreciated, right? And some mentees love it, of course. So, I mean, it's all about the match. Some mentees really want to be told, what should I do differently? What do you think I should be doing? And some just want to be asked the question, and help me in my own discovery of what I think I should be doing. And I think that's the match. And that's what we're trying to bring in, the diversity of perspectives, right? Okay, it's just like the writing, Tulia, you never know which mentor and which mentee are going to click. So what you do is you increase the chances of them matching with each other, and then they need to find their own path. That's what we do.
That's amazing. Shivangi, last words in being brave, bold, and brilliant as you are?
What shall I say? Well, take more risks, try to not edit yourself, being the brave, bold, and brilliant version of you, I would say, is just one step away.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tulia.
That's all for today. I hope you got inspired to raise your game and be brave, bold, and brilliant. Make sure you listen to my other podcasts. Stories are great sources of inspiration and transformation. Subscribe. Remember, there is someone somewhere who needs to hear exactly what I shared with you here today. Be generous and spread the word. Give your feedback and help grow this awesome community. Until then, be brave, bold, and brilliant, and speak up unapologetically.